Good evening. It is November 24th, 2020. This is a Virtual Rifle Systems status of the status. First off, I apologize for that four-legged thing. He's been unruly. These are probably not healthy, but desperate times call for desperate measures. We'll try to keep him distracted. We're going to press through no matter what happens. If he does something untoward back there behind me, or he starts yapping, we're pressing through. Haven't put out a video in a while. Figured it was time, needed to do that. I'm looking forward to getting back on track, doing videos more often. Hopefully we'll have something shortly after this one. But just want to talk about some of the things, some recent changes, some minor changes, and then some other issues. Jumping right in. The optics I've passed through, so there's no longer a black face there where the lens would basically be. I just did a pass through. Just trying to cut down maybe on material, but also help with cooling of parts, because that's one of the big things on that printer. You can probably hear it in the background. It's running index parts right now. Is the cooling of these parts and being able to, and the cooling will dictate how well these things clean up. But that was the VRS Holo. Looks a lot like an EOTech, but it's not. It's a VRS Holo. The red dot, same thing, and of course the aimbot. So those are just test units. Haven't really shipped anything out. That's those, but going forward, that's what we'll ship is a clean pass-through. Redesigned the NVH base to remove a little bit of material, again, just for cooling. The packing density, especially these, the packing density is really high. There's a lot of material here. So this is to help cut down some of that material, so the printer can cool down a little bit easier, and these are easy to clean up. This first couple prints that I ran, and I made an adjustment on the printer too. I dropped it like 1 degree Celsius on 2 of the settings, and it helped. But what you have, if you got too much thermal buildup, it's really hard to get the powder off. I mean, it's virtually impossible, and so you're shit can a ton of parts, and I did. So that was this to help cool down, but also I noticed some tracking issues with the Quest 2. Now, it wasn't anything major. It was just an aggravation to me, and I don't know if it was environment related, so like playing here versus going home, but it was enough that it agitated me. So this reveals a little bit more of that ring. But what I really found out is that if you move this closer to the rear of the rifle, there's no issues. You might see some issues on the Quest 2 if you're running way out here. So it's, if you want to keep it a little bit closer in for some reason, not a big issue. But that is the new non-dominant hand base, and those are now shipping. This is the new white rifle. So I took the head strap, the base head strap that comes with the Oculus Quest 2. I shipped it off to my injection molder, and he had his guys color analyze it, and we matched the color. It's not a precise match. It's very, 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 very close. I love it. I didn't know how I was going to feel about the white rifle. It's not my first choice for a rifle. But once I got it in and put the Quest 2 with the black controller connectors and all the accessories, it looks really sharp. I think it turned out really good. I like it. It is a keeper. Not going to get into the Quest 2 or the Quest controller connectors other than to say I am working on some stuff. I want to get to a point where one of the things I'm trying to do is reduce the number of parts we have. So we have 4 headsets, or 5 headsets currently, and looking at others. There's that new, I forget what that headset that's coming out early next year that kind of looks like the Quest controller connectors. But we currently have 5, working on possibly a 6th. And those are right and left determinant. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but that is to say that you need a set of right hand parts and a set of left hand parts, and they can't be switched around, right? They're not universal. So that's 5 parts per controller. That's 10 parts per headset. And that's not including hardware and magnets. So it's just a lot of parts to deal with to make it all happen. What I'd really like to do, you're not going to be able to do anything with the Index or things like the Rift CV1. But the Quest, I should be able to design something to utilize those rings, and it shouldn't matter. That set of parts should be able to put on the right or the left. So that's I'm working on. That's probably something that's not going to happen till next year, and at the appropriate time we'll put out a video and talk about that then. The big thing people want to know about is this thing right here. So the Reverb G2. Now keep in mind when I talk about a headset, I try to keep it from the perspective that I'm using the headset to go with a rifle. And that's how I base the headset. From a first-person shooter perspective, utilizing a gunstock, my gunstock, that's how I judge the headset. So the Reverb G2 as it stands now, thumbs down. I should have been more dramatic. It's a thumbs down. It's not a final verdict, but just so far, things aren't looking good. The headset itself is comfortable. Obviously, the specs are very tight inside. The audio is outstanding. The headset's good. I like that you can disconnect the cord for storing. I can't stand having to store the other stuff, the corded headset. And on a side note, PC-based VR needs to come up with wireless. I found myself playing with this with the cord. Just after playing with the Quest and having the freedom of no wires, I can't stand having a cord trip. I know you can get the lanyard overhead and all that. I have that. I've used it before, but really need wireless. Anyways, the headset's great. It's awesome. Awesome's comfortable. Tell you what's not awesome is less than awesome. That's less than awesome. That is not awesome. Very flexible, so attaching to the ring is not, I mean, it just flexes. If you get into a knife-only round in Pavlov, you whack, you punch the wall with that, I don't think it's going to hold up. Drop it a couple times, I don't know. It's better, it's more comfortable than the previous iteration. I kind of feel like that trigger is not in a great spot. Again, from my perspective, how I'm using it, I'm not playing Beat Saber. I'm attaching it to a rifle. I'm using it as a firearm, right? So I just feel like the trigger, no, that's my left hand, but just doesn't feel like that is, I don't know. I mean, it's a better design, but it's not a deal breaker. It's just not, it's okay. It's not the worst. It's certainly a lot better than the Vive wand, that thing. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is tracking. And now keep in mind for tracking, I wasn't as concerned with the offhand. There's things I can do with the offhand. What I wanted to do was put the offhand in a different plane. I didn't want to hold them so the headset, they would blend together, right? It would look more like that. Right. I didn't want the headset to be confused with the light. So what I did is I cut a handguard down, made a notch so I could just reach up there and grab that C-clamp style, just to keep the controllers on 2 different planes, because I could work with the offhand. It was getting the dominant hand right for me to track, and that was the problem. So what happened is the headset would lose tracking, and this hand, the rifle, becomes pinned, and all you can do is move around the muzzle. I tried it in Pop 1, and I tried it in Onward. Same results. Lose tracking. You can get tracking back by maneuvering, but that's not optimal, right? I tried running it canted. One test that seemed to work, and I thought, well, I mean, that might be a solution, but I just couldn't repeat the success. Then I had some success, but that you're not gonna. There's just that's not gonna happen. So, so far, my testing has not been very good. What I'm going to do is pray for a firmware update or just a new controller. Neither of those are probably going to happen. So what I'm going to do is actually I'll redesign this. This is the uni base we're already using. There's just two pieces. They kind of clamp together on the support arm. I'll redesign this, and what I'll do is I'll drop this down, and I'll probably drop it down a whole inch, which is farther than what I would want, just to be safe, because there's one light up in here that I think might be, it's just that one light might be causing a problem. So I'm going to start at an inch and see if I can gain tracking. And if it's successful, then I'll raise it up incrementally until we come to a point where we lose tracking, and then we'll hopefully find a sweet spot. But that's provided that by dropping it, we're going to get tracking. So we'll see what happens. So I'm hoping by this weekend to have this redesigned and printed and have it tested again. But that's the HP Reverb G2. Again, for this purpose, right now, it's I really want to do Microsoft Flight Simulator in it though. I get for like a sim situation, or if you're not using, for other things where you're just free floating the controllers, it's not bad. It's a good headset. I mean, for convenience sake, because I've moved stuff around so much, and it wasn't until recently I've ran the Index. I ran the Rift S. It's certainly not the best headset, but I ran it quite a bit just because the portability. I could take it, I could bring it here, I could take it home, and I could move the laptop, my VR ready laptop. I can move that around and just plug in and go. So I liked it, and that's why this is attractive. But to be honest with you, no wire would be better. But that's the G2. Finally, the ongoing issue with virtual rifle systems is turning around orders. You guys know the history. Most of you do. It's just demand, right? Demand just continually is tracking VR. Obviously, the growth of VR. As VR grows, so do we. Not complaining. I've been told for 3 years that's a good problem to have, right? But it's being able to turn those orders around. So that's why we went to the injection molded parts, right? So we can pump out a ton of parts, right? We bought a new facility, so we have more room, more proper workspace. An HP printer, although that there's a trade-off between FDM. Certainly a far superior product, but some of the work you were doing there, you're no longer doing, but there's different work you got to do with an HP printer. So the obvious solution is we need labor. Denise and I have been overrun, and we've been overrun for a year and a half now. Well, going on two and a half years, just overrun. So we need more. We need labor. So we made a decision last month. We need to bring folks in, and what we're trying to drive to is there are so many components that have got to be, all the hardware's got to be put in place in the controllers. There's even stuff that has to be done to the injection molded parts. Even if you don't buy a barrel, this still has to be threaded in the event that you do decide you want a barrel. So this is ready for you. You already have the rifle. Assembling the new micro stock that goes on the buffer. Just a lot of stuff has to get done, and ideally the person that is shipping product, and that's been Denise, she handles all the shipping, she should be picking and packing. That's to say that there should be no assembly of parts. She should be grabbing and fulfilling an order. But because of the volume, and it's just me and her and I, a lot of times she's building to order. She's having to finish up the assembly of different components, and that just really drags her down. So that's why we brought in 2 employees, so that she doesn't have to touch nuts and bolts anymore. She's just packing boxes. Um, so we were on track, and we have been directly impacted by COVID. Directly impacted now. So both employees last week, starting Monday, we've got the part-time guy comes in the evening for a few hours. The full-time obviously comes in the morning with me. So I'm here 12, sometimes 15 hours. But on Monday, the part-time guy called and said that he was sent home from his day job because he had a fever, so he had to get tested. So obviously, well, don't come in. Wait till you find out what's going on with your test. The day after, our full-time employee ducked out for lunch and came back from lunch and said, "Bad news, my roommate just tested positive for COVID." Okay, stay at home the rest of the week and find out what happens with your test. So the good news is the part-time employee got his results back today. He is not COVID. So he had a high fever, and I don't know what the issue was, but it wasn't COVID. And then our full-time employee, he actually came in today. His roommate is isolated. He got tested. Neither of them have COVID, but the holiday, we told them full-time came in today. But just take the rest of the week off, rest up, enjoy time with your family, friends, family, whatever you're doing. Just enjoy the holiday, and we'll pick it back up next week. So needless to say, we were real close to reaching that goal of getting closer to more on time. But so it is what it is. Deal with it. I mean, it's not a problem that's unique to us. I mean, my suppliers, my injection molder has talked to him this week, and he's got five people daily on first shift and a few on second shift. That it's a daily thing. So the more staff you have, the more you have to deal with that. So everybody's dealing with it. It's across the board. So we'll get through it. I'm looking forward to next week and getting back on track. This printer will be running every day, turning over parts. So we were on track last week that Denise would be stocked with parts and she would be picking and packing. We got set back. That's going to happen next week. So hopefully start rolling out parts, and we're going to need to because the holidays are coming. So that's about it for this video. I'm going to endeavor to put out a video next week. I will be testing this unit out again this weekend at some point. And if I have success, that will be that video. But I also want to throw in gameplay. I used to be able to tear it up in Pavlov. I just don't have time to play, and it's almost embarrassing playing Population 1. I don't know if I want to share any gameplay video of that. It's brutal. But hopefully I get some time, maybe during the holiday weekend, I can get some gameplay video together. Do some stuff with that. I would like to. I've always had an idea of taking all the games and talking about each headset with that game and the rifle, and just talking about how everything works. So hopefully we'll get more time in the next couple of weeks to do that. But just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. This year, I am thankful for all of you, the customers that have made this what it is. And I know I speak for Denise, our entire family. Thanks you. We're thankful for you, and we're thankful that we've been given this opportunity to do what we're doing. And again, without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you. We're thankful for that. Everybody have a great holiday. Enjoy time with your friends and family. Don't let this COVID thing get you. Do Thanksgiving and enjoy the holiday. Stay healthy, stay safe, have a happy day. We'll talk to you soon.